Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
After seeing another post about a middle seat jerk, it reminded me of what happened back in 2004. And this is unintentional pro-revenge on my part. This happened on a flight back after dropping my mother-in-law off at home. She was in her 80s and didn't like flying alone, so whenever she visited with my wife and me, I ended up flying down to pick her up and flying back with her to take her home. I liked earning the miles, plus I enjoyed it a lot because I genuinely adored my mother-in-law. Anyway, I had the aisle seat, which I always book, and the guy in the middle seat who was there before me refused to move his leg and kept his arm on the armrest. I get in my seat, but he's really pushing back hard. It feels like he's basically trying to take over the entire row. I'm pushing back too, but refuse to continue this the entire flight even though it's barely a 75-minute flight. As a flight attendant walked by prior to liftoff, I purposely commented loud enough for her to hear, "Dude, stop trying to play footsie with me. I'm not interested." He got all flustered and moved a little bit, though not a lot. Fast forward to just after takeoff, the seatbelt sign is turned off, and they are getting ready to serve drinks. Now he's spreading out again, but even more than before. I unhooked my belt and jumped out of my seat and yelled at him to stop touching me. The flight attendant and the air marshal rush up to me as quickly as they could to see what was going on. While he's trying to form words, I tell him he keeps rubbing his leg against mine and won't stop even after I tell him to. Before this guy could respond, the passenger in the window seat says he's rubbing up against him too. He gets taken out of the middle seat, protesting the whole time. He sat down in a jump seat with a marshal next to him. The flight attendant comes back to me and the guy by the window and offers us a free alcoholic drink for our inconvenience. We both accept gladly. Free beer is always a good thing. About 20 minutes before the flight is supposed to land, the marshal comes back to me and asks if I wanted to press charges. I seriously thought about doing it but said no. I'm just glad he's not next to me and pushing up against me. The guy in the window seat said the same, and figured that was that. After the flight landed and we had exited the plane, I saw the middle seat guy in cuffs and a couple of cops talking to the flight attendant. The air marshal saw me standing there and walked over to me. I asked him what happened, and he said the guy called the flight attendant a witch and a few other choice words, and she was pressing assault charges against him because he did make a threat of bodily harm. He asked me again if I wanted to press charges, and again I told him no, the guy's already in enough trouble. As I walked away, I looked at the idiot and started laughing. Maybe next time he'll just move. I didn't want him arrested, I just wanted him to stop being a jerk. He's the one who decided to make it worse for himself. Edit to clarify. This wasn't an armrest fight, though he certainly took those over. He kept spreading his legs wider, pushing up against me. Also, I asked the guy to make some room before I sat down but got ignored. This is kinda a mixture between malicious compliance and I'll work here. Back in the late 90s, I worked in a bar in a small town in rural Ireland. Around 500 people, 3 pubs, 1 hotel. It's a wee seaside village and quite picturesque, and is therefore plagued by tourists during any holidays. We lived directly opposite the hotel, and the hotel was about to be razed to the ground and rebuilt without the 60 years of nicotine stains. A demolition was due to start in January, and the work was due to be completed sometime in 2003. It's a small town, everyone knows everything, as long as it's about someone else's business. The hotel's reception phone number is 1 number away from my parents' landline number. It is New Year's Eve, or more accurately 4 a.m. on New Year's Day. I'm home from my shift dealing with drunk idiots that, as this was the 90s, want nothing but Baileys and creme de menthe shots and Bacardi breezers, with the occasional Irish coffee and pint of Guinness that they will order last as an afterthought and then complain about the wait. At 4 a.m. in my parents' living room, I'm having a wee decompress and a whiskey when the phone rings and my instinct kicks in. Hey, Happy New Year. A slurred Belfast accent winds into my auditory canal. For most people reading this, when you think of an Irish accent, you probably think of a Cork or Galway accent, nice and lyrical. This is not the case with a Spy Belfast accent. Think of a dentist drill that runs on tonic wine ordering McDonald's through its nasal passages. Spy, noun, if you're English, think chav, Scottish, think Ned, Mercon, think white trash, I guess, and so on and so on. Alright, I've had a cracking time tonight. We're booking the same nights for next year. Room 109, Jamie Witchface. Alright, I've had a cracking time tonight. We're booking the same nights for next year. Room 109, Jamie Witchface. Sorry mate. You'll have bother. Town Name Hotel is closing in January and reopening in 2003. And the number for reception is 555-5545. This is a private residence. How would you know that? You said this was a bar. Just put me through to reception, you lazy. She said the derogatory term for a country person. Scram off, mate. I know, rather sharp wit, Oscar Wilde will be proud. I hang up and my phone rings a moment later. Don't you dare hang up on me, you. More bad names. Town Name Hotel reception is 555-5545. This is a private residence on 555-5554. Don't call again. This happens a few more times because a daft drunk witch is just hitting redial. It escalates with varying degrees of profanity as we both have drinks taken, me to a lesser extent. I unplug the phone from the wall, a few minutes pass, I'm formulating a plan, and I plug the phone back in. Phone rings and I put on my best receptionist voice. Good morning. Town Name Hotel reception, how can I help you? Is that Mr. J. Witchface from room 109? How may I be of service? That's better. I want to book for next year same nights. Certainly, Mr. Witchface. We even have a 50% loyalty discount as you're a previous guest. Same days? Alright. Okay, that's all booked in for next year. Arriving on the morning of the 31st? Yes? Brilliant. Wonderful. We will see you then. That year I went away to university, came back for Christmas, many things happened in the time in between, but then New Year's Eve came along. My folks and I were in the living room looking out at a gigantic hall that used to be a hotel. And our other windows look out over the bay and having a few beers. A car we do not recognize pulls up opposite the hole where the hotel used to be, and three confused-looking Belfast spies get out beside the big hole where the Town Name Hotel used to be. Something clicks in the back of my head and I'm just spinning myself laughing. I explain the whole thing to my dad, who I'd relayed the story to. These jerks drove about an hour to get here just to find out they've got nowhere to stay. We enjoy the show and opened fresh tins as they start screaming at each other in front of our house. It was a fun New York Eve. Background: I'm a 35-year-old father of two boys. I have PTSD due to time overseas and have the physical scars to match the mental scars. I have an incredible wife that knows me and knows what situations I should avoid. My children are amazing, but this story revolves around my youngest son and my service dog. Jim, my youngest son, has autism. We share a special bond because some things that set him off also put my teeth on edge. Spike, my English bulldog, he is my service dog. He's well-trained, lazy, judgmental, and overall uninterested in anything he can't eat. He's also very in tune to Jim and my emotions and will provide a distraction when we get overwhelmed. Basically, he's like, "Oh, you're stressed? Here, scratch my butt. You'll feel better and I'll get attention. It's a win-win." A story. My family recently moved to Texas because we now live very close to an amusement park we got memberships of. Shout out to the park for being amazing when it comes to special needs. This particular park in Arlington, Texas, has a special program for autistic people. They have rooms set aside to chill at. If you're overstimulated so you can relax, go back out, get overstimulated again, and around you go. With Jim, we also don't have to wait in lines. This is a huge thing because of the story. The park has a pass that lets you skip most of the lines, and they will charge an arm and a leg for this. However, with this pass, you still end up in a line of the hundreds of people that also have that pass. Jim gets no lines at all. We get a special pass and we go in through the exit. The worker signs the pass and we go on the ride. Jim has a favorite ride, the log ride. There have been days that we would ride the log ride over and over, then eat. We also had a food pass which we pay for, then go back to the log ride. On this day, Tom, my oldest, and Jim wanted to go on the log ride. So we made our way to the exit, left my wife and Spike, our dog, in the shade because someone has to stay with him and bulldogs plus rides don't really mix. As we were going in the exit, a woman started screaming at us. I have absolutely no hearing on my right side, thanks high pressure wave, so I didn't consider it worth turning my head to listen. Now, because we ride this ride almost exclusively, the workers on this ride know us by name and sight. Jim even talks to them, which is rare. We go in, show the pass, sit and ride. This time though, Karen, the woman that was screaming at us as we were walking in through the out, made her way to where the speedy pass ends at the ride, where a red shirt will check her pass and let her go on her way. She didn't even want to ride. She just wanted to yell about us going in, through the exit, and how we are abusing the system. Now, anyone that looks at Jim can see he's in a world all his own. I wouldn't be surprised if he's literally reading the future or talking to aliens. He's awesome. The Richard tries to calm her down. Tom is getting upset because he's a normal 9-year-old boy. An adult yelling is uncool. Jim is making his excited sounds and waiting for the lock to stop so he can get in. We get in, and as we float away, we still hear Karen screaming. The ride ends and we exit. We figured we would never see her again, but obviously, as I'm pointing this out, it didn't go that way. Karen appeared like a dark brother after making the sacrifice. Elder Scrolls reference. Hooting and screaming. She's screaming that just because Jim is an R word doesn't mean we get extra rights. The screaming causes Jim to let out his super screech. Now, anyone that knows autism knows that autistic kids have superpowers. In Jim's case, it's a supersonic ear-shattering high-pitched screech that makes your eyes swim and makes it feel like things in your head are moving that shouldn't. This whole time Spike was lying on the ground in a froggy position as bulldogs do, just looking at Karen like she's a rabid dog but not worth getting up for. As we are being screamed at, I see 2 officers approaching from behind Karen. I smile, but my smile must have broken Karen because she hauls off and kicks Spike. This flips my switch because now my family is literally under attack and I start to react. Before I could make contact, Karen was already in the air, being held, carried, half dragged away while being cuffed. Now in front of me is a well-dressed and pissed-looking officer. He tells us he heard the screech and started heading to it because they thought a ride broke or something bad happened. I take the time to unflip that switch and examine Spike. He's limping and crying. I feel his hips and feel that his hip is dislocated. The officer asked what happened and we all explain what happened from A to Z. He asks if Spike is a service dog and I say yes. He smiles. I'm not in a smile mood, but it catches me off guard. He explains that in Texas, to intentionally injure a service dog is a felony. But this time, park security arrived and issued a trespass order to Karen. The officers asked if I wanted to press charges. I look at Spike and look back. Yes, I say. Karen and her tiny mouse-like husband start to freak out as she is loaded onto a golf cart. We hop on a cart too and leave to go to the vet. The vet fixed Spike and all is well. We went back the next day with Spike in a stroller. No one patted an eye and everyone loved the bulldog in a stroller. I let people pet him, he's a hoot, and the park is an amazing place. I've been contacted by the investigating officer and have given depositions. I may have to testify, but I look forward to sitting on a bench with Spike on my lap. Several of the things before the gala I did not witness. I had to take Fred's word on this, but combined with the things I heard before and saw during the gala, I believed him. The cast. Fred, a reporter of that newspaper in charge of editing the material for this project. Karen, leader of a charity that collects donations to help Afghan children and women in Afghanistan. Karen's nephew and one of the editors at the newspaper, one level higher than Fred but not his direct superior. Eva, leader of a charity that distributes donated uncooked food for a week to the ones in need. Me, a guest at the gala and a friend of Fred's. Background. A few years ago, in a time when a large amount of refugees came to my country and many charity organizations focused their effort on them, but there were still several charities focusing on senior citizens, children, poor people, animal help. To honor the organizations helping the society and to raise awareness, the local newspaper started a contest for the best charity in the region. Each week, they would bring an article on one charity, and in the end, the readers would vote who was the best. After that, a gala was held. A short film on each charity was presented, and the audience and the jury would elect their favorite. The 3 votes will be merged into one result. The final winner would receive a €5,000 donation for the charity. The build-up. Over the time, all charities were presented in a newspaper. Only 2 major incidents happened. Karen started suggesting that charities not focused on refugees should be expelled, because they are not following the needs of this time. Karen, supported by Ken, was ranting to the directors of the newspaper that Eva should be disqualified because this perverted guy is a racist. Eva's charity started to supply refugees with food in addition to the ones they already supplied. Everyone still got enough food and it was spread equally. No first come, get best stuff. But after some refugees used their fists to get a place more at the front of the line, Eva split the handout day into 2 days. One for refugees and one for the other people in need. Both requests had been whipped away by the directors. After the articles, all charities supplied the newspaper Fred with videos of their work, and Fred came for a video interview. Fred had to cut it together to a video of a 2-minute interview and 3 minutes of their work. All charities send in their video footage. All have been told it will be cut down to 3 minutes, so they should spend around 5 to 10 minutes on their work. Most did as told. Karen sent in 8 hours of unedited, uncut videos from her last trip to Afghanistan. Fred asked her to narrow it down to the things she wanted to be in. She told him to shut up and do his job. She also demanded that her video has to be at least 15 minutes because her work, who's a lovely children, is far more important than the useless stuff the others do. It went back and forth and she always demanded a longer video. Fred did his best and made 4 clips, 3 minutes each of good-looking stuff, and asked which one she wanted. All of them. And some more. You missed some of the important stuff. You will not cut me down against these other organizations. Next were the interviews with the charity staff. Again, all went smooth with everyone except, she guessed it, Karen. And the interview with Karen was by far the most difficult with all her demands on what he has to do exactly as she tells him, or she will have Ken make HR kick him out. Fred did as she told him and got some nice video footage to work with. You should not threaten the job of someone, especially in Germany. We take this very personal, and so did Fred. But Karen gave him everything he needed. The day before the gala, Fred sent Karen 3 videos of 5 minutes length, 2 of 8 minutes length, and 1 of 20 minutes length, and asked her, which of these videos do you want to be played tomorrow evening? After 4 minutes, he got the answer. The longest one, of course, as I have told you 1,000,000 times. Fred smiled, satisfied, I guess. The gala. As you might know, if a series of content is presented to you, at the end the first one is more present in your mind than most others, and the last one is by far the one most present in your mind. So the last presentation spot gets a slight advantage. And who would have guessed? Shortly before the gala, Karen demanded a new spot when her video should be played. She needed the last spot because she had an important video chat with the children earlier that evening. The time of the gala would be in the middle of the night in Afghanistan, so sure, she was about to chat with the children. I came quite early. I was greeted outside not by the organizers from the newspaper but by Karen, explaining to every visitor how great her charity is and how important her help is for the lovely children. The gala started, all groups got presented and praised, and the videos came up. As demanded, the last one was Karen's video. The interview part was normal, but after the 2 minutes, it went on with her explaining how much money she saves after giving up her flat and moving into the house the charity was renting as office and storage. Illegal to live in a designated office. How the nice furniture were donations to the charity and too good to waste them. And that is it just fair since she quit her job for the charity and the money she pays herself each month is only slightly more than she made before. Then the work footage came up. First came a nice video of her surrounded by smiling, waving children, all perfectly lined up. Then a video of the same sitting, children not well organized, her pushing them around very forcefully onto the places she wanted them. A boy moved from his spot and she hit him in the face. "Stay on your place, you little rat. This has to be perfect. And stop crying or you get another one." The room was dead silence. You could have heard the butterfly sneeze if one had done so. Karen stormed out of the room shrieking, "This'll have consequences." As you might have guessed, the audience and the jury voted her last place. The Fallout, a charity that taught refugees how to repair donated bicycles that they could keep after repairing it, won the prize. Karen got fined for illegally living in a designated office building. The Office of Taxes checked her charity's paperwork, and it came up she stole a lot of money from that charity, enough to get it closed down, and she went to court. The result is not publicly known here, but she was no longer seen around. Karen tried to get Fred into trouble, but the directors stood on Fred's side. They just asked Fred to inform them next time not pull such a stunt again. Over the years, my job has been pretty diverse. I enjoy all the master electrician and instrumentation work, but building and maintaining networks has been a joy as well. There are so many pretty blinking lights, all the testing and commissioning tools are fun to play with as well. There are also lasers. One thing that never gets old is seeing people's faces, who don't know me that well, when I rock up in high-vis clothing to start messing around in network cabinets. Here I am, a slightly scruffy-looking older guy, glue and resin on work boots, knocking about in IT. It's pretty funny and handy sometimes. Glue and I haven't been on good terms since Kinty. I don't know why. As an apprentice, I managed to get half a bottle of blue conduit glue in my hair for God's sake. Tom was a junior government system administrator working at a regional IT department. When the position of IT manager became available at a 2,000 student government high school, Tom was encouraged, finessed, manipulated, conned to apply. See, Tom was a jerkhead. As a wanker of the First Order, in the 4 months that he'd been there after transferring in, Tom had pissed off the whole government IT team. You know that person who has to comment on everything, thinks they know everything, thinks they are always the smartest in a room, but is actually only about 67% competent and a bit lazy? Well, this was Tom. The principal was so glad to have a government sysadmin apply for the role that they changed the job title from supervisor to manager to entice him. The role had an office and 2 support staff. It was also arranged that Tom will be given more control over the school network than the previous supervisors. I heard later that his then government IT director may have suggested the title enhancement to the principal as part of the finesse. Tom had his own fiefdom. It also didn't take him long to piss the principal off either, as well as the admin staff and most of the teachers. I'd done work with government IT for some time before Tom showed up and knew everyone, though only got to know him peripherally. I'd done work with government IT for some time before Tom showed up and knew everyone. Though only got to know him peripherally, he had yet to rub me the wrong way. We had 2 big-ish jobs at the high school, about a year after Tom started there. Change out a crap ton of keyed door locks for a brand new standalone network door access system we would install and maintain, and change out existing room lighting for energy-efficient LED panels. These 2 jobs would each be done during a 2-week term break, either side of a 10-week school term. I will get to run both jobs. In the planning phase of the door access network, Tom made it known that he would be trained on a new door system and be in charge of it, since it was a network in his school. The principal made it known whose school it was and that Tom would stay right the hell away from it, since it was a standalone and had nothing to do with him. Tom was not happy about this. On Tuesday, a little over 5 weeks since the door system had been live, I was driving to a job when I got a phone call that kicked off this tale. High school called. They are having trouble with a new door system. Turning the car around, I wasn't sure what annoyed me more. That my sing-along with Blink 182 had just been interrupted, or that I would now miss out on scones fresh from the oven. At the system operator terminal PC in an admin office, I hear that there were two issues. Some teachers couldn't open some doors this morning, and some other doors that the admin staff tried to change functions on weren't responding. I suspected the regular user teething issues. We were 5 weeks into the 10-week term at this stage. They went on to explain that they had looked and found the teacher's door access had been changed to remove some doors. They had re-added the doors and fixed that, but the doors they were trying to change functions on weren't responding. Looking in the system on their user login, they were right. They had re-added those doors correctly for these teachers. Oh, I was in the system updating the door changes. Logging in as the admin, I see that apart from the hub in this office, the other 18 network hubs are not responding. Weird. Unlocking the cabinet, I see that the fiber optic patch lead, which connects to the other hub, is dangling in space. Very weird. These take some doing to unplug. They don't just fall out. Reconnecting the patch lead and rechecking the network, I see the other hubs are responding. So I push the door changes through. There are still questions though. So I open the system log. I see that the changes to the teacher's access we made by one of the admin users at 5:33 p.m. and the hubs went offline soon after. Strange, because the admin staff finished at 4:30 p.m. and the log also showed that someone who's not admin staff entered this office at 5:08 p.m. It was Tom. I sat there and thought about asking the admin staff some questions but decided against it. I suspected that Tom had insinuated himself here over the past couple of weeks to get the gist of how the door program worked, and had gotten a user login to boot. If I kicked up a fuss, he might be able to IT doublespeak the teacher changes. Also, the patch lead being out could be waved away as incompetence on my part. As I was thinking, the admin staff said that Tom had been in earlier and had overheard the issues they were having. It said something to the effect of, "That's why you get when you let electricians manage a network." Oh, okay. He was being pissy about being banned from the system. My crystal ball went through a variety of scenarios, and I decided to let sleeping dogs lie for now. 3 days later on Friday, I got another call about the high school door system. Checking in and checking it out, I found that the issues they had were almost identical to the first, except that only 4 hubs were offline. After going to one of the affected hubs and plugging the batch lead back in, I opened the system log again to find it empty. What the flying hell? The daily backup file had been deleted as well. Only my admin login could do these things, and how the hell did he get that? Checking that the secondary backup on an external drive was still intact, I dumped that into my laptop and had a swivel on the chair for a few minutes. Yep, this backup showed that the admin login had been used to do the teacher's changes this time and delete the system log, all after the admin staff had left yesterday. This operator console PC had been provided by Tom. It was one of the school assets. The government image was supposed to have been wiped and a clean operating system put on, so it couldn't be connected to the government networks. Maybe Tom had a keylogger in there somewhere. I gave it a good sparky go but couldn't find anything. I even checked for cameras. After changing the admin password, I left and put on some Nick Cave in the car. That evening, while Mr. Cave and Daniels kept me company, I looked up keyloggers and then went through my boxes of spare parts toys. It was secret squirrel time. On Monday, I timed my arrival to the school just as the admin staff were leaving. I just wanted to check some things on the system. They left and left me to it. I placed one small camera under the desk to see the back of the BC tower, one on a shelf looking at the screen, and one on top of a corner cupboard to see the room. Happy with my work, I went home. That Thursday, same thing again. Different teachers affected, and different hubs offline, but the same thing. Admin login used to wipe the logs and backup. I changed the admin password again for reasons, and after coming back that afternoon to retrieve footage from the cameras, I figured out what he was doing. The first time he used the user login to make changes, hold the patch lead, then installed the keylogger device on the keyboard USB cable into the tower. It looked like a little black USB adapter thingy. He used this to get my admin login to wipe the system log and delete the backup, so there will be no evidence of his card accessing the room. What he was doing was a freaking stupid way to go about it. His ego must be a thing of wonder. The contempt he must have held for my abilities as just a Sparky to figure things out even without the cameras was boggling. I maintain systems on networks far more complex than this, like the school security system for example, or a similar door access system in a much more secure facility. Okay, sucker, game on. Over the next 4 weeks, Tom and I went through these dance steps 4 more times. I heard all about them suggesting that if he ran the system, a professional sysadmin, there wouldn't be issues like these. I didn't mention to anyone about the logs or backups, just kept collecting my video and secondary backups, because through my association with government IT, I'd learned a few things about their policies. I wanted to screw with Tom, maybe collect some more ammunition before I absolutely freaking wrecked him. Purposefully using keyloggers on a government asset is a big no-no. The next 2-week term break was here and we began changing out light fittings. It was easy work and I had a team of 8. Once I kicked them off, I went to work. I added a relay card to each of 6 specially selected security system expansion points in 6 different buildings. These buildings were where the people worked who disliked Tom the most. I'd worked at the school long enough to know all about it. Relays are wonderful. Give me enough relays, timers, and contactors, and I can make your wildest electrical/control dreams come true. A relay is a switch, that's all, like a light switch that you can turn on and off without being there. Here is a thing about data cables that not a lot of people know. Data cables connect the data socket in an office to a patch panel in a network rack. There are 8 wires inside, but they each have very specific jobs. 4 are commonly used to carry data traffic, 2 or 1 pair for upload, 2 for download, another pair for power to a PoE device, like a wireless access point. So you figured out a way to get one specific pair of these 8 wires into, let's say, a relay. You could then maybe interrupt the upload wires or download wires or power wires. Any of these will cause issues for your computer's ability to communicate. If you could turn the relays on and off at opportune times for selected people, perhaps via a security system you had remote access to, you could maybe introduce weird intermittent faults in a network. If you could do this without it looking like the cables in a network cabinet patch panel have been touched, you might now have a method to cause grief without it being traceable through IT magic. Sure, a competent IT person would assume the cable was damaged and go test it, but what if, when you went to test it, it was all okay? It would maybe look like a network system issue that a competent sysadmin should be able to diagnose and fix. A critical part of all this would be if you had a job as an electrician to make alterations to buildings' lighting. You could then turn some power circuits off so that the network cabinet in a building was unpowered for a while. You could then take data cables out to patch panels without it being noticed by a sysadmin. You could run a new length of data cable and terminate it into the patch panel and make a nice couple join of the 2 cables in the ceiling. Then split off some pairs to relays. This could be done over 2 days. You could then begin switching the principal's relay on the 3rd day of the 2-week student break. It will be pretty easy keeping track of Tom's whereabouts so you could make the cable appear okay for testing. Once the principal was good and pissed off at Tom for not being able to fix their issues, you could start switching the admin manager's relay. The next day, you could go to work on the head of the English in another building and the head of the science in another, having Tom out of his office and you having a legitimate reason to be in their lightning job would mean you could have a real good look around and find the USB keylogger. Standing in Tom's office, I took a picture of the keylogger among the mess on his desk. It might have been hidden in a drawer before that. Then I called my mate, Tom's old boss, the regional director of government IT. I told him about the issues I'd had with the door access system, the videos, the keylogger. He came down, took his own picture and called the principal. On my laptop in the principal's office, I showed them the videos of Tom's vandalism on the door system. The director examined the keylogger. It was so much worse than I thought. They found not only my system info on it, but info from the school accounting department, the rector's department, and more. Tom had so much incriminating evidence on it, from all kinds of government departments, that he was bent over screwed. When Tom answered the summons to the principal's office, I couldn't help smiling at him. I know that's mean, but I'm only human sometimes. He had no answers to the questions. He tried to claim the keylogger wasn't his, and the director shot that down. It had too much stuff from places Tom had access to. It couldn't be anyone else's. Then I showed him the videos. That look he gave me was priceless. He'd figured out I'd done this to him, and it was glorious. A symbol electrician. Go screw yourself, Tom. He wasn't prosecuted because that would have caused too much of a public stink. But Tom got flagged and would never again be able to work in any government job, anywhere in the country. Not as a janitor even, or as a contractor doing government work. And since graduating university, he'd only ever worked in government. Sorry, private industry, he's all yours now. I did say something stupid though. After Tom left the principal's office that reveal day, the principal asked the director if they could send someone competent to look at the school's network issues. Without thinking, I said, nah, I'll fix that. I blame having too much fun. After they had me explain what I'd done because I needed Tom out of his office, I had to cross my hard promise not to do it again. And the principal didn't fully understand what I'd done, but the director said I was like some evil MacGyver. I put the network cabling back in place and took all my toys home. Thank you for listening.